20 k's south of Trundle, central west New South Wales. My wife and I farm about 800 hectares of continuous crop country across 3 farms with a mix of pulses, canola and wheat and barley. So being involved in the research project, we've elected to have this site as the diversity site. So last year it was Albus lupins that unfortunately got pretty much wiped out from waterlogging. Traditionally this country we would grow a pulse 1 year in 4. It's light red clay loam, pretty much depleted of all nitrogen, so we've tried to really have that pulse at least 1 in 4 and if not 1 in 3 with lupins, Albus lupins. Traditionally we'd probably look at going a pulse being the Albus lupins followed by wheat and then canola and then back to wheat, probably making a move to the double break, so lupins, canola, wheat, barley. However, this block this year was wheat on the back of lupins, given that we were a bit heavy on canola on the other block. So we're just finding that having the pulse in the system is really giving us a good injection of organic N, and our subsequent crops are really benefiting from that diversity. Being involved in this research project, I guess, has given us a bit more confidence to analyse what we're getting out of our pulse in that at least 4 year, maybe back to 3 year component. What we're trying to do here is measure how much N we're actually getting following that break crop, and also how much N is in the crop residue that we're leaving behind. So we've been able to put a level in of nitrogen that we needed to grow our target yield of wheat, and then we've got a comparison of wheat sown on the back of canola, so we've got a bit of a comparison there at what we can look at in terms of how much N we've had to feed it. This wheat here hasn't had any urea applied this year, so whilst last year wasn't a great result with the pulse, it's really given us a good whack of nitrogen this year to allow us to grow a lower risk wheat crop in what's proven to be a pretty dry year. We've also seen that diversity with the pulse has given us really good weed control options with Factor in our ryegrass control and wild oat control. So that's another component too we've been able to really grab hold of with the pulse. A big take-home message for my business is that whilst we're not a big grain growing business, having that diversity across our area really gives us a bit of insurance. You know, barley's performed really well this year. Canola has cut out really quickly, whereas the pulses are looking not too bad. So I guess having that spread of crop types across the enterprise, I think it's really given us a better understanding of being confident of having that diversity in your system. Whereas if we'd had half our program sown to canola on the same week in April, I think we'd probably be a little bit apprehensive going into harvest. The other thing that needs to be a big focus on when we're growing a pulse in our farming systems, and we're seeing it with our agronomy clients, is we're measuring how much nitrogen's in the soil following that pulse crop, but I think we really need to take into account how much nitrogen's in that crop residue, so we're actually getting a 2 year effect from that pulse crop. Especially when you're growing something like faba beans or Albus lupins, we've got such a huge amount of dry matter that's got such a huge amount of nitrogen in there. So we're measuring it in February the following year, and we're saying, okay, there's 70 or 80 kilos of nitrogen in the soil. But then we need to look at what is in that crop residue too. So we're seeing that there is a 2 year benefit, which is great.